we're going to continue working this, but we're also going to talk about scale factor. So it says a scale can be written without units, so those labels of inches or miles or centimeters. So it can be written without units when the units are in the same format. So for example, this cannot be written as a scale factor. This is a scale. Notice we have inches and miles, but in order for us to write it out as a scale factor, they would have to have the same units. So I would either have to change my miles into inches, which would be a huge number, or my inches into miles, which would be like a really, really small number. So it's not very practical in that scenario, but sometimes it is. When you're working with two units that are kind of close to each other, you can convert and change them into scale factors. So it says a scale factor is one that does not require units. So here we have a situation. It says a scale drawing of a spider is 5 centimeters long. The actual spider is 10 millimeters long. What is the scale of the drawing? So we're going to do something like this to begin with our actual units. So we want to do, it's our scale over our actual. Okay, so I need to break this apart. So it says a scale drawing, scale, is 5 centimeters. So 5 centimeters over my actual, the actual spider was 10 millimeters. 10 millimeters. Okay, so now we want to reduce this down to lowest terms. So we're still going to keep the same labels, but we're going to reduce the numbers down to lowest terms. So 5 would go into both of those numbers. So now that becomes 1 centimeter is the same as 5 millimeters actually. Okay. Now, to convert that to a scale factor, we have to convert those so that they have common units. So we can decide to either change them to centimeters or into millimeters. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and convert them into, I'll do both. Okay, so if I want to convert, remember our King Henry dies or doesn't usually, so base or units. So we're doing meters. Drink chocolate milk. Okay, so King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk, or I use King Henry dies by for base, drinking chocolate milk. So I'm going from centimeters to millimeters, one spot to the right. So I already have this one in millimeters, so this one goes one spot. So this is the same as 10 centimeters, or not 10 centimeters, 10 millimeters over 5 millimeters. Or I could do the opposite, which would be, I could convert it to centimeters. So I'd go the opposite way with my millimeters. So opposite would be here, 0.5. My other one would be 1 centimeter to 0.5 centimeters. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use this one. And it really doesn't matter. A scale factor is not going to matter. So now if I go through and I change this, it becomes reduced down. This would be 2 to 1 or 2 over 1. Okay, so that's working a scale factor. Scale factors is just one extra step of doing that converting. It's used sometimes. They will do this if you have ever looked at like the bottom of a toy car. They have the scale factor on the bottom. It'll say like 1 to 800 or whatever the number is, 1 to 80. They do this on actual things. So if you ever look at a toy car, look at the bottom of it and you'll see a number that looks like that. So here we have a model has a scale of 1 millimeter to 20 centimeters. What is the scale factor of the model? Okay, so once again, we go millimeters to centimeters, or centimeters to millimeters. It's not going to matter. So let's convert our centimeters to millimeters. So centimeters, millimeters. And my King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. I'm going to go one spot to the right. So centimeters, right now my decimal's there. I'm going to go 1 to the right. So it becomes 1 millimeter over 200 millimeters. So my scale factor would be 1 to 200 or 1:200. Okay, and this is just converting it into centimeters. If I converted it to millimeters, that would be fine, but usually you don't have a decimal number in a scale factor. Doesn't mean you can't, but usually they will go with the larger unit. Okay, so let's try one more of these. A scale factor is 1 centimeter to 20 meters. Or sorry, a scale is. Find the scale factor. Okay, so King Henry doesn't usually meters. Drink, chocolate, milk. Okay, so I am going to go to meters. So centimeters, let's convert my meters to centimeters. So meters to centimeters would be 1, 2 places to the right. So my decimal right now there. So 2 places is going to be 2,000 centimeters. So now I have these in the same unit. So my scale factor would be 1 over 2,000. Or you could write it out like this, 1 to 2,000. I know usually this is the way I've seen it whenever they've done a scale factor, as I've seen it with the colon versus in the fraction format. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys one to try. Once again, we'll work metric system. So let's do 1 centimeter to 5 millimeters. Okay, so here I would convert into millimeters. Okay, so convert into millimeters. Okay, so go ahead, convert your centimeters into millimeters, and then reduce if you have to. You should have gotten a ratio or a scale factor of 2 to 1. Okay, this is probably the most difficult part, is working with that scale factor. I'm just trying to introduce that to you. I probably will not be assessing you on scale factor. It's just something I wanted to introduce to you and have you practice a little bit. Okay, so the key thing to remember out of this lesson is when you set up your working with a scale, you want to make sure that you understand that in the scale, the first number stated is the model or the map or whatever, and the second number stated is the actual distance. Make sure that you're matching when you set up your proportions.